You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. All right, baby, it's Friday. We're back. Yes, I left it in the label-controlled hands of Chip and James last week. They modeled it right through. We made it through. Thank you guys for being there. Worked it out. Another Dogs win. Another Auburn blowout. And, well, we'll get to the fact that we're going to have to talk about the Dobbs MVP candidacy after the break. But as you can see, I am wearing, baby, we're back, just win, baby. That's one of the things we're going to talk about here on Friday's Finest. You don't want to miss it. It has become a tradition. It has become like, what was it that we have here in the spring in Georgia? A tradition like none other. It's not the Masters. It's Friday's Finest with Doug, Chip, and James. We'll be back right after the break. Hey, folks, when you look out and you see the country and just the disarray it is, you see the Biden administration, you see the wholesale prices have just went through the roof again. Inflation is tearing us up. If you have your finances all impinged in just a few areas, if you're just in stocks and bonds and you're not diversified, I got some news for you. You need a navigator. You need somebody to help you get to where you need to go with those finances. And I can't think of anybody better to do that than my friends at Legacy Precious Metals. You need precious metals in that portfolio. You need gold and silver. And Legacy Precious Metals, the folks there, they're the navigators. They know how to deal with tough times. They know and how to look ahead and take your personal situation and make it something that can be workable for you in the long term, because that's at the end of the day, that's the one you're most concerned about. You need to make sure that your personal finances and your retirement are secure. You need folks like Legacy Precious Metals helping you in that. They will take the time to learn you. They'll learn your finances. They'll learn where your investment goals are, and they'll help you get there. And metals and gold right now in this kind of crazy inflation, in this kind of crazy economy with the Biden's economy is just, you need that help. And Legacy Precious Metals is the one to do that. So give Legacy Precious Metals a call, 866-528-1903, 866-528-1903, or you can always visit them online at legacypminvestments.com, and you can download their free investor's guide. Legacy Precious Metals, they're the ones you need. They're the navigators to help you through these turbulent times. Hey, everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98, or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right, we're back. We're not putting, but we're putting around at it. There's a bunch of guys talking about life and sports and everything else today. Chip Blake, the man from Atlanta, red zone extraordinaire. Everything about him. I mean, we could go on with his accomplishments from, winning, but Chip, we're glad to have you here. The one drawback, you are that Auburn person, but hey, we love you anyway.
Hey, it is what it is. There's got to be a few of us that still carry the flag. It's been a good 3 weeks, so we're pretty happy. Our quality of competition has gone down dramatically. But the win. And you know what? After watching the NFL this week, I think there's a lot to be said for teams that are winning games that they should win. So that's what
there you go. And we cannot forget our Texan by way of New Jersey. I forget about it, man, from there. Here he is, James, the dancing machine. James, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, life is good, guys. The Josh Dobbs era has begun. I don't even know what else to say. Like, the weather's like not 40, it's 60. Things are good.
Chip, for all of our listeners, here's the same man 3 or 4 weeks ago in utter depression, and now we're ready for the Super Bowl.
Oh, how the turntables. Listen, guys.
when you beat Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and you put in a quarterback that has been on your team for 4.5 days, and then, shows up and backs it up with a pretty impressive win. I understand where he's coming from, man. It's hard to doubt Josh Dobbs right now. I can't believe I just said that, but
that's the scare. I mean, and Chip from both of us for Josh Dobbs is a Tennessee guy. I mean, it's like, God,
just double.
I go back.
Hey, go ahead.
I go back to the movie? Fiddle. Well, the one that now they've claimed that it's not anything else. The Blind Side is the quote from famous Sandra Bullock, that hideous orange. But he's there. He's helping James get through the day. That's all that matters. We need, Josh Dobbs has become the helpful mate to get James through. So we're all happy about that.
He's the darling of the NFL right now. That's the best part about it. There's no negative press around the Vikings, and that just makes me happy.
Okay. Moving right along. Before this, speaking of that, let's just touch into this. I mean, this will probably be a good segue. We're going to go in and out of football today. What is it about the Pentagon UFO chief saying that someone is in our backyard? Chip, have you seen any aliens down there in Cobb County?
Well, I haven't seen any, but I did read a couple of the articles. You failed to mention that he's resigning.
Yeah,
that he did resign. He finally did resign.
I was going to bring this up. I didn't know we'd jump right into this, so I want to bring this up.
Yeah, go ahead, James. Go ahead.
He's on the way out the door, and he's like, "Yeah, let's talk about aliens right before I leave." But let me read you this quote from the article. This is just because I love this stuff way too much.
Well, James, hold it. We got to put a pause in here because we got to have our UFO music.
Okay, UFO music inserted.
There we
right
go.
now. Got it. All right, so it says, the quote is, multiple sensors have apparently observed metallic orbs and translucent spherical objects traveling at speeds ranging from stationary to Mach 2, or twice the speed of sound, with no detectable thermal exhaust. According to Kirkpatrick, this is the guy who's leaving, the object's enigmatic flight characteristics amount to a unique UFO profile that his panel is out hunting for. Guys, they're here, and we got to worry about it. These are our options. It's either going to be full Independence Day, or we're going to join the Galactic Federation. Those are the options.
Well, he did. Also, I read another quote that I printed out an article on another quote. He said, we got to figure out if these are aliens or international actors, both of which are a problem. I think he said, quote, if we don't prove it's aliens, then what we're finding is evidence of other people doing stuff in our own backyard.
That's much worse than aliens.
And he ends the quote saying, and that's not good.
When you tell people, it could be aliens, you're like, it's kind of exciting, and then you're like, could be Russia. You're like, oh no.
That quote sounds like an Arthur Smith press conference.
Yeah, it does. Or he could be saying Elon Musk and them are out in a shop somewhere in California, and we ain't got a crap knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, this whole time he's doing a little misdirection. He's showing us that Twitter or X is under fire. Really, he's just building spacecraft that we don't know anything about.
Yeah, the Falcons are just doing that. But yeah, I mean, look, folks, we can't go a time without getting into the UFOs. They're real. They're among us, and based on the way some of the pro and college teams have been playing in the last few weeks, I would have to say some of them have been taken over by some of this.
Well,
Yeah, Josh Dobbs is an alien. We know that.
Well, here's the big question. I didn't know until stumbling upon the story that the Pentagon had a UFO chief, and evidently,
Yes.
they do have a UFO chief, and it is part of a new office, the AARO office. James, do you know what the AARO office is?
No. What does it stand for?
I didn't either. It's the Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO under the Pentagon. He was the first head of that office, and his tenure lasted 18 months. And so, while we talk about sports and over-under, we got to think, number one, who succeeds him? And does that person last over 18 months or under 18 months?
Yeah. I mean, and while we're coming back at this, I mean, the question comes up here is Chip. I mean, this was here. Okay. And to be the serious background for a second, as I step in here, I feel like I'm with the guy on the Fox Sports Sunday show while the rest of y'all, you and Terry Bradshaw and Howie and all of y'all go at it. So Congress actually mandated this and said through the NDAA that they wanted a report on this. And ever since this office has been basically there, they've been avoiding Congress. And then when they did put something out, it was a lot to be left desired. And, they still can't get answers on it. It's the most amazing thing.
You said he had this post for 18 months?
Yeah.
18
So
months.
one of two options. One is that they were like, this is stupid. This guy's an idiot. We got to go. Or he saw way too much and was like, you know what? I would rather die alone or with my family and not doing this job because I don't want to know how this ends. Those are your options. Like, it's such a weird, it's so weird because they have to keep talking about this to get people prepared for either actual aliens or the possibility that it's another government that's screwing us, or maybe it's not a government, but either way, I just think it's funny. My friend said it to me earlier today because he's a birds are not real guy, and I love him to death. And I just can't. When he said it to me today, I started reading. I'm like, this has to go on the show. What perfect timing.
Oh, it is amazing. I mean, when we see it, look, yeah, the thing that gets me about this is this our Truman Show moment? Is this the time when somebody's actually opened the door on the screen behind it? And they said, hey, we got a problem here, folks.
No, I don't know.
Where's Ed Harris when we need him, I mean, hey, look, it fits. Ed Harris was the director on The Truman Show. Ed Harris was also the flight director on Apollo 13. We're putting these things together here.
I would let Ed Harris be in charge if he wanted to be because I trust him. I know he's a great actor, but for some reason, I just trust him.
Yeah, he just has that view about him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if he shows up to meet the aliens, I know we're not going to loot. We're not going to get murdered immediately. He's going to smooth talk him as best he can.
Yeah,
He can work things over.
We just need to find Randy Quaid so he can save us at the very end. Nobody knows where he is, obviously, because he's just a psychopath. But
okay, all right. I just thought of something. This will be fun. Then we're going to jump on to the next topic. But this week, all right. Since he brought up Ed Harris, I would trust Ed Harris. I've got one. Name, and it doesn't have to be, quote, realistic or anything else, but name one Hollywood actor that you would say, okay, if the world ended, I'll put this guy in.
Ooh.
Do I choose Bill Pullman from Independence Day because he gave the greatest speech in movie history? Or do I pick a realistic one and just go with Morgan Freeman so his voice comes in real soft?
Now, Morgan Freeman, I got you on that one, but I got you one, Sam Elliott.
Oh, my God, that mustache would save us.
Got it, baby. I mean, from the ranch to Yellowstone, and then of course,
that's strong. Yeah, that's strong. It's a Sam Elliott.
First of all,
Sam Elliott casting.
If you're going to introduce Sam Elliott, you either introduce him with Tombstone or you introduce him as the badass number 2 from now I'm blanking out on the movie. Roadhouse. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Hang on a second. We all have to stand. We mentioned Roadhouse for the guy movies. We have to stand at attention. Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Thank you. All right, now back to your normal schedule programming. as we go. But yes, we got that all in today. All right, back to some football though. Speaking of extraterrestrial disasters, what's happened to last night? If you were unfortunate enough to watch the game earlier this week in the Monday Night Football game with Josh Allen, I mean, the Buffalo Bills, were they simply overrated, and Josh Allen overrated, or is this an anomaly year?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like Josh Allen has lost his confidence and he's given it to Russell Wilson. I mean, at the beginning of the season, Russell Wilson didn't have it, and now he's getting much more comfortable with Sean Payton. He's getting much more comfortable being in Denver. I mean, only one out of the last, I think, 6 games has he thrown a pick, and Josh Allen just kind of looks like a deer in headlights now. He doesn't have, he doesn't look like he's got command of the offense. He's got fumble problems. I mean, when you got fumble problems and interception problems as an NFL quarterback, it's like having a 2-way miss off a tee with a driver as a golfer. I mean, you just can't hit the center of the fairway. And I just feel like, it just feels like, he's lost his mojo. And, there's probably a variety of reasons that's the case, but all of a sudden, if the season ended today, the Buffalo Bills would be on the outside looking in, and they would not be in the playoffs. And before and now all of a sudden Denver's won 3 in a row. And so look, this is a long, long NFL season. Now, it's always been a long season. It certainly is now with 18 weeks and 17 games, and so teams are going to hit. Teams are going to hit pits, and valleys, peaks and valleys. But, Buffalo doesn't have a whole lot of time to turn it around. I mean, we're in mid-November already, and they need to really get it together if they want to be playing in the postseason. They need to get it together very quickly.
I'm kind of confused. So at the beginning of the season, they were my pick to win the East, the AFC East. But also, I thought they were going to be in second behind probably Kansas City because you just can't rule them out with Pat Mahomes. But watching him play I didn't really watch much of the game last night, and except on my phone towards the end because somebody said this is really stupid. You should watch this. And I guess what I don't understand is Diggs complains every minute of every day. And that stinks, and I know that's probably really annoying. And I know they have a new offensive coordinator, and it's not working. And Dable's with the Giants. Maybe he'll want to go back because it's better than being with the worst team in the NFL. But when he plays, the best part of Josh Allen is that he can run whatever he wants to and run people over, almost like Dante Culpepper used to, and guys like Stable, like big dudes like that. But he can throw it the length of the field, and you're like, oh, you have Josh Allen, you're never out of it. Now you have Josh Allen in your head. You're like, he's going to throw 2 picks a game and possibly loses the game because of it. And they never should have lost that game. The fact that somebody was offsides or whatever for that kick was insane. But they are not the team I thought they were. I was certain they were going to run that division, and they can still win it because Miami hasn't played that great either. But it's just kind of baffling.
Well, here's some facts to throw out on what y'all both said. I think they're done. Put a fork in them. They're gone. They will not make the playoffs. They've still got Philadelphia, Dallas, Miami, and
I think they got the Jets again, right?
Yeah, but they got in the next 3 weeks. They got over the next 4-week pattern. They got Dallas, Philadelphia, and Kansas City and Miami still left on the schedule. They got at least 4 more losses, probably in that picture. If nothing changes. So, I mean, you're looking at at best a 10-loss season. I mean, they're looking at a losing season at this point if they can't turn it around.
Well, and they, I don't know if you guys saw, they fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, after the game. So, that tells me that, maybe when we're talking about Josh Allen losing his mojo, maybe he and Ken Dorsey just didn't click. They had problems, and they, look, they've made a change. And so, now, you go into the final 7 games of the season, And if Ken Dorsey was an obstacle to Josh Allen's development and to his statistics, then there's no longer that excuse. There's no longer that crutch. And so, look, we'll see. I mean, that was a little baffling to me that they fired Dorsey when they did. But I agree with you, Doug. I think their schedule gets so tough, and they, agree with you, James. The Dolphins are looking for revenge. Buffalo hung 48 on Miami at the beginning of October, I think, and embarrassed them. And
yeah,
so,
when I saw that, I was like, oh, cool. Maybe Buffalo is fine. Like, they had that choke to the Jets, but they'll be fine. Then they've just not. I honestly, I hate saying this because I love Diggs when he played for us. But, like, the amount of complaining this guy does on a daily basis, and it's during the game. Like, it's not during the week where he's complaining. It's during the game. That emotional toll on the sideline. Like, I know we could talk about guys being tough all the time, but it's probably pretty annoying to everyone else playing. Like, hey, we're also on this team. Like, it's not just about you. And I know you need the ball, but he's had double-digit fantasy points. He's obviously getting catches and touchdowns. Like, let's not pretend he's not getting the ball.
Yeah. Hey, did you see his brother Trayvon Diggs? What he tweeted out yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said,
he tweeted out
out
he said it's time to get out of there.
during the game.
Yeah, time to get out of there. So
He just wants him to come to Dallas. He's going to be number 2 next to the hottest receiver in the
the
NFL
second
right
coming
now.
of Dak Prescott. Oh my God, give me a freaking break.
This Dak Prescott thing is so annoying because he obviously can ball. We've all seen it, but like we got to give CD Lamb is just tearing up the NFL right now.
I agree.
He's on what AJ Brown was on before.
Well, he is on a big run right now, but you still got Brown. You still got and Devontae Adams from coming back. Did you see the catch the other night? I mean, they're just some things getting back into gear. But we've got to discuss. Okay, this is Friday's Finest, and we discuss the finer things of life and football, not just the good thing. We have got to go back though, James, to your home state. I know they call themselves the New York Giants and the New York Jets, but they play in the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Okay? They play in Jersey. And I would love to get your take as a Jersey guy on the quarterback situation, in which I believe now you've got a cross between the Sopranos, the Jersey Boys, and everything with the Tommy DeVito family.
Let me say this. The moment I heard it, I thought of my mother. Because when he said chicken cutlets and laundry, I was like, yeah, this is the most Italian guy I've ever met in my life. That literally, like, when we were kids, that's like, for whatever reason, Italians just make banging chicken cutlets. I know I'm in the South now, and I know you guys fry things better, but there's just something about that shallow fried chicken cutlet mom's making. You can smell it from the other room. But yeah, living with it, I think part of my take said this, that it's okay he's Italian because basically you live with your parents until you get married, till they ship you off. But yeah, that it's obviously not helping him. That bed rest and living home isn't helping him because that team got their doors blown off, and the city their stench is starting to smell like Secaucus a little bit.
But what is so hilarious about this is the family and some of the Chip. I don't know if you've seen some of these tweets, but they're taking pictures of the DeVito family. I mean, honestly, it looks like again the most Italian family in the world, and I'm not Italian, I'm Irish. So, but an Italian family, and they're sitting there and they show the dad. What kind of call was that on 4th and 3? It's like it's amazing.
Look, you gotta feel bad for the fans that show up in the Meadowlands, right? I mean, every week. I mean, they started the season with Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones, who was coming off a career year, and now they're stuck with Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito. And we're only through week 10.
Does Zach Wilson, Tommy DeVito, and Joe? I mean, if they had a Lombardo, if they had somebody, this honestly would be an episode, a part of the Jersey Boys movie. It's got to be.
It's funny you mentioned those two quarterbacks because I wanted to mention two others from the early game on Sunday. I know you guys saw that dumpster fire that Germany. I think we do have to apologize to Germany.
Yes,
I
we
said,
actually did not send our best on that one.
No, I said imagine if you went into a coma in like 2008 and you woke up the morning of that game. And you're like, oh my God.
We did give Germany the Chiefs and the Dolphins the week before.
We did. But imagine you woke up and you went, oh my God, I get to watch Peyton Manning and Tom Brady go at it. And then you see Mac Jones and Gene Shorts himself on Indianapolis. I'm blanking on his name right now. That game was
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew. That game was so awful.
Minshew.
But you got to see more than Mac Jones. After that last interception, you got to see Bailey Zappi.
Okay, when you guys saw that interception, did you think that ball was tipped? It had to be, right? That was my brain cells couldn't function when I saw that ball wasn't tipped and he just lobbed it like a third.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was tipped, but then the replay showed it
wasn't tipped.
It's how I know Mac Jones's confidence is absolutely rock bottom because he's been taken out like 37 times this season. Bill Belichick
is you out on the sidelines.
He looked like I don't usually feel bad for people making $10 million a year plus, but I actually felt bad for Mac Jones. This situation is a nightmare. He's got no receivers. He's got his running game isn't working that well, even though they have Ramondre Stevenson, and he looks terrible. He's not a good quarterback. That's not up for debate at this point, but he'll be a good backup somewhere. But then throwing in Bailey Zappi, and then him throwing into what I think they called a conference room of Indianapolis Colts. He had Juju one-on-one up the sideline on the left, and he said, you know what? Fake spike, I'm going to throw it into 5 defenders. And Germany, and all the Germans had to be like, is this how they play football? I swear to you it's not. Thank God the ones that were there saw the game before.
Yeah, they just started singing Sweet Caroline, and they just carried it through for the rest of the time. That's
had
all
to
that happened there. And hey, speaking of dumpster fires, we got to come closer to home down here in the South to Atlanta. And Friday, a week ago, on the Pat McAfee show, Pat McAfee's at the Quad, at Myers Quad, and at the UGA. Pretty good turnout for a rainy Friday for the McAfee show, and they're all up on stage. He previews the fact that Arthur Smith, is going to be his guest like he always is in the second hour of the Friday show. It has been for the last few weeks anyway. And kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, it was met with resounding boos. Big time. Enough to where McAfee said, wait, what? I mean, McAfee went nuts about it. Arthur comes on and they boo him again. And then the poor guy gets up there and he says, well, I'm going to donate $15,000. Again, this is okay. How do you say you're rich and you don't, and without saying you're rich? You get on the Pat McAfee show on the day before Veterans Day and said, well, I was just here and I was wanting to make a $15,000 check to the Marine Scholarship Fund and see if my brother would take me up on it. It's like, really?
So is that NFL money or FedEx money?
Oh, that's FedEx money.
That's $15K.
He can go back on FedEx money, but he also has, he's like every other coach in the NFL. He's making millions of dollars. Chip, you're seeing this up close and personal. What do we have? Why are we doing this to ourselves in Atlanta?
Oh gosh. Where do we get started? How much time do we have? The fact that we're 4-6 is just ridiculous, right? We not arguably. I think we have the easiest schedule. I say we Falcons fan, in the NFL. Our last 5 games, the starting quarterbacks we played are, I think, Sam Howell, who's not a bad quarterback, but you expect you're going to do that. Baker Mayfield, Will Levis. Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, but he was a day in.
And then Kyler Murray, after being, he'd been in rehab. Physical therapy for 11 months. He comes in and looks like he hadn't missed a beat. And then, we're 4-6, and then we end. Here's what we end with: the Saints, the Jets, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Colts, the Bears, and then the Saints again. We don't really play a good quarterback all year. And, we're 2 games under 500. I mean, I don't.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys try to watch most of the game if you can.
If we're
I understand that he's trying to incorporate everyone on this offense, and I know we discuss this all the time. 3 straight runs to Cordero Patterson is the crazy. They got a first down, which makes me look like an idiot, but that's not the point. Bijan Robinson should have the ball, should have at least 25 rushes a game. I know they don't want to wait.
He was on track for that in the first half, and then
and it was working. It was literally working. And then he was like, you know what? This is going too well for me. Things are working here. Let me get rid of it. I don't understand it. You drafted him with the 7th pick in the draft when you already had a pretty good running back, and you're going to try to ease him in? This is the NFL. Running backs come in and dominate. That's how this works. That's their job. They have a short shelf life. You're not going to sign. 5 years from now, we're going to forget Bijan Robinson exists, and we're going to talk about how he can't sign a big deal. Right? I mean, that's how this works. Do it.
I have a question for both of you. Supposedly, they kept talking about this on the show the other day. He was asked a question about why he didn't throw, Bijan didn't get the ball, Pitts didn't get targeted, that kind of stuff. And supposedly he gave like a 5-minute answer.
He did.
And went through 90 plays. I have not seen it. Somebody give me the Cliff Notes version of what he said.
Doug, I saw it, and it was nothing more than a word salad. I mean, it was
Kamala Harris coaching football.
Yeah, it was exactly Kamala Harris talking football. I mean, he was all over the place. He was talking about. I mean, it was 3 minutes into his comments before he even mentioned Bijan. He talked about. I think he tried to talk about situational football, and then he started talking about coverages, and then it wasn't until over halfway through his statement that I realized what he was answering, and I don't know that he knew what he was answering. It was a filibuster. It was an absolute filibuster.
Situational football. The situation is you have 2 elite football players on your team that don't touch the ball. That's the situation.
Well, and the reality is that 5-minute answer showed me that he wasn't prepared for that question, so he didn't have an answer for that question, and so he was
prepared for that question.
And Doug, in politics, what do you prepare yourself for as an elected official when you get in front of a camera in a press conference? You need to be prepared for as many questions as are going to come. And the fact that he didn't think that question would come is kind of baffling, right? Because he didn't have an answer for it. And he didn't have an answer for it because he clearly hadn't thought about it. And then, in the first half of the game this past weekend, they focused on Bijan and it was working, and then it didn't work in the second half. So just
I'm gonna go back to something that I said a few weeks ago when we had Chan Gailey on it, and I think it's still true. This is just one of those years in which there's just both, and I say this overall, not in particular, because I do believe that there's some decent football in college right now. We got some teams that are playing pretty good, but it's been a meh kind of season on both sides. I mean, you got, again, Miami's playing well in the sense you got
the Eagles would be the one team I can think of.
Eagles are playing really well. Kansas City plays well when they want to. I read a tweet the other day, though, actually, Chip, I'd like to get your comment on. It was talking about Georgia, and it said that Ole Miss ought to feel privileged because Georgia basically thought enough of them to blow them out.
Yeah.
Basically, implying that Georgia is just, because they've had a schedule this year. And I'll be frank with you, Florida's a good team, but not a great, by any means, a top 20 team. You got Missouri, which is pretty good, but Georgia again goes back to Georgia a lot. And I'm a Georgia fan, but Georgia has always in their history, going back 40, 50 years, played to sort of the level of who they were playing. Kirby, though, has taken it to another level. Kirby has been able to get them on days when they were doing that to win, or then to kick it into gear a little bit more. And you saw that against Ole Miss. You saw it a couple of weeks ago against Florida. You see it in those times, and they got Tennessee coming up this week. Georgia Tech coming up, and then they got Alabama. And the most disrespectful thing I saw this past week was somebody put something out on social media that said this is a real possibility of happening. An 11-0 Big Ten team, an 11-0 ACC team, and then it listed all of these others with one loss: Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, everything. And it's like they just assuming Georgia was going to lose to Alabama. And it's like, I don't know if Kirby writes this stuff to get his team motivated or what, but
Well, look, it's hard to win back-to-back national titles, and Georgia's done that, right? And now they're in the third season of that, right? They're trying to go back-to-back, which is almost impossible in today's environment. And so, the first few games of the year, they kind of sleptwalked their way through it. They did. I mean, and I used the analogy on this show, and I'll use it again. It's hard to eat when you're not hungry. And at the beginning of the season, they weren't hungry. And now they're hungry. They've been doubted. Their best player, or arguably their best player, Brock Bowers, was injured and out for 3 games. They're not number 1 on the first BCS rankings. And so, Kirby didn't have all these things to motivate them with at the beginning. And look, they were still winning games. They weren't winning pretty, but they were winning football games. And I tell you though, Doug, I think the toughest test for them will be this weekend at Tennessee. And the reason I say that is because, you have the mixture of Tennessee coming off a bad loss, possibly looking ahead to this weekend. And you had Georgia just go through, Florida, Missouri, and Ole Miss, which is a tough run where they went 3-0 and they looked really, really well, even in the Missouri game, which was the one game of the 3 where they didn't dominate. I just think this is a tough game for Georgia because of that dynamic. I think if they get through this, they'll, look, Georgia Tech's doing better this year, but they're nowhere near competing with Georgia at the end. And if you're Kirby, look, you get through Tennessee, and it's likely you will. Although I think it's kind of a trap game for you. But you get through that, you beat Georgia Tech. If you're Kirby, the best thing to happen to you to win the national title might be to lose to Alabama in the SEC title game, because the first national championship they won, that's what happened. And so look, Georgia, even with the loss, is still playing with house money. They're going to be in the college football playoff, and in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And as much as it pains me to say it, I wouldn't put my money against this football team for anything right now until.
No, I agree. I agree with you completely. I agree with you. And they've overcome. And I think what you said was interesting there. And James, we've talked about this before, but when they started facing some adversity and people were doubting, well, Brock Bowers is out. Y'all will never win another game. Here's the interesting thing. And I'm guilty of this, because the first of the year I was looking at their offense and it was Bobo. And, we just said, oh my God, this is going to be wild. But if you look at where they are, I'm having to freely say this. Nobody is talking, again, about Carson Beck's numbers. The offense is in the top 3 in scoring, point, everything. They have a top 5 offense, and we don't normally say that about the University of Georgia. They talk about top 5 defense, but we don't always talk about the offense being what it is, and they just slowly keep doing it. And Carson's averaging over 300 yards a game and not playing the fourth quarter a lot.
Yeah, but I tell you though, one of the reasons I think Georgia's not getting the amount of respect that they've had the last 2 years is just what you said, is that their defense was so dominant the last 2 years. And now they have a good defense, but it's not it's not the most dominant defense in the history of college football like it was last year or the year before. And, not everybody on this defense is going to be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're good players, good defense. But if you're Carson Beck, I think you like that, man. You're winning games. You're putting up great numbers. You're setting yourself up to play on Sunday, and nobody's talking about you. It's a great situation, I think, for that kid.
Well, and James, I got a question for you in just a second, but I do want to bring this out. the Carson stuck around Kirk Herbstreit, and I was glad that Herbstreit and Fowler did the game on Saturday night. I thought that was. And by the way, Georgia, my son Cameron pointed this out. Georgia has played better football when they're playing in the afternoons or evening than they have been on the 12 o'clock games, which is early. Which, by the way, Tech, first time in a long time, the Tech game will be a night game in Atlanta. And if you've ever been around Grant Field at night, God bless you, you don't want to go. It is just it's a nightmare to get around.
You want to leave at halftime.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to get caught on the back roads there. But you look at it, but Herbstreit pointed out something the other night that I thought was really interesting. And there's 2 points I'm going to get a take on here from James. One, Herbstreit kept talking about the five stars. And Chip, you and I texted about this, the 24 and number. But what Herbstreit was saying was, he said they're not 5 stars when they first come on the field. He said, but they have 5-star talent, and every play they're getting better. And he said that's what makes Georgia right now really unique, because those players are getting the experience, like the new linebacker that showed up the other night, who's been playing, Allen, who's been playing for the last couple of weeks, who's just gotten better. But then he made the other comment that, and this is one that we haven't talked about, Dylan Rybold, who is at Buford High School, is the next quarterback coming into Georgia. And after him, and Chip, you've probably seen this kid. He's up around Kansas. Isn't he around Kansas? Juju
Lewis. Yeah.
Juju Lewis.
He's a Carrollton.
Carrollton, just up the road on 75. I mean, he's coming in behind him. I mean, this is the sort of the feeder train that's coming in right now. But, James, I do have a question. We've been talking about this, though. Is Carson Beck, because Georgia is looked upon as Georgia, is Carson Beck being ignored for the Heisman?
No. There's too many good. There's just too many good quarterbacks in college football right now. And I don't think it's fair.
But he's
like Michael Penix might
be Daniels. Jaden Daniels is the wonder boy of everybody. His numbers are very comparable passing to Jaden Daniels.
Right, but who's in line for the Heisman as number one right now?
I hope it's Bo Nix.
Michael Penix and Bo Nix, I think.
Right. They're playing stupid football.
Yeah.
They're playing at another level. So I don't think it's that he's being ignored. I just think, like, for example, right now, Micah Parsons is probably, you can argue, is the best defensive player in the NFL at times, right? But right now, Myles Garrett is dominating football. You can't deny him or TJ Watt what they're doing. But Micah Parsons is still balling. So Micah Parsons is not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and he'll probably be like the 4th or 5th, maybe even 6th option. But in this situation, Carson Beck is in that sort of situation right now where, like, Michael Penix and Bo Nix are doing great things. Even, I know what's his name has had a tough time, but with USC, but, like, he's still much better than everybody else.
Yep, I agree. Hey, before we get going today, though, we need to discuss a couple of things as we're sort of, a little past midseason for the pros, and we're in the final push here. I've heard a lot of talk, and I love just the quick conversation here. People saying last year the 4-man playoff, next year none of these conversations will be going on. It'll be a lot quieter. Nobody will be discerned if Georgia's going to get in, Alabama's going to get in. Everybody, because they'll all get in. I mean, you're going to have, I think, it looks to me like you'll have 4 teams from the Big Ten, 4 teams from the SEC, and then 4 teams spread out everywhere else. They look, the way it would look. I'm still not sold on the 12-man 14 format. Given what we're seeing this year, is this season a cause for a 12-man, or is this season a reason to keep it at 4?
People are going to.
Or is it a hard question?
I think this comes to the same thing as people are going to complain no matter what. They expanded the college football to like 68, college basketball to 68 teams, and people are still complaining about guys not getting in. Like, I know it's like, whether it's 4, whether it's 8, whether it's 12, people are going to complain that people aren't getting in. It will make for a fun time. But let's not forget that, like, 10 years ago, we were just going, yeah, they're in, and that's it. Like, we were just letting a couple people in a room decide who's going to be champion. That's crazy. Yes, 12 teams is going to make it more fun, but people are still going to complain every minute they can.
Yeah, and I think we got spoiled there for a while, too. The upper echelon in college football were 2 deep, 3 deep, 4 deep, right? And it was obvious, who should be in the playoffs. And so, yes, you got to keep in mind it took forever for us to expand it from a BCS national title game to 4, right? It took forever to get from 2 to 4, and so look, I'm always. I think it's great for football, right? Because I think the more football, the better. But, I'm not putting pads on and playing as a 19-year-old kid. But, we've done it in FCS for a while. We've done it in Division II. We've done it in Division III. I think this year's a good argument for an expanded playoffs because I do think this year, we're 7-8 teams deep. I think Michigan, I watched Michigan play Penn State. It was the first game I'd really watched Michigan. And either Michigan's a really good football team or Penn State's a really bad football team. But that game wasn't as near as close as the score was. Michigan dominated that football game from the beginning until the end. And I know Happy Valley in a packed stadium, and in Penn State's not an easy place to play. So I like it. Of course, we won't have it this year, right? We're just going to have 4, but I'm looking forward to it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not. I think the current system right now kind of works too. And I think there's only been, there's been once or twice where the number 4 seed has come in and won, most recently Alabama. But, at the end of the day, if you're the 5 seed, you obviously got a loss and you control your own destiny at one point. And, I'm old enough to remember in the era of the BCS or right before the BCS, Doug, there was an undefeated Auburn team, that didn't make the national title game. And we ended up beating Virginia Tech in a bowl game. And so, it's hard to imagine that was maybe only 15 years ago. You had an undefeated SEC team did that. You won't have that under any of these other setups. And so, look, I'm looking forward to expanding to a 12 team, but that could change my mind if a 1 seed loses to a 10 seed in the first round. I might feel differently about that.
Well, as we get ready to go, I have a final parting thought here. I think number one, we have a speaker now for at least 3 weeks. Thank goodness. It looks like we're not going to, we go through that, so that's pretty exciting. I do have a prediction. Here's your rapid fire round before we get going. Given the fact of a 12-person team next year, I still believe that the champion in a 12-man or 12-team playoff scenario, the national champion will either be SEC or Big Ten. Am I right or am I wrong, Chip Lake?
Oh, 100% right. Absolutely.
James?
No, yeah, you're right. That doesn't change.
Yeah, so it doesn't change. So, as we figured out here, we gone from UFOs to the Sopranos invade New Jersey's Giants and everything else, and plus SEC football and plus everything else. So that's what Rodeo Society's Finest is always about, folks. We're glad you've been with us. Glad you are tuning in as we go. Chip, what's your last round prediction for the day?
Beware going into Neyland Stadium if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan. That is not an easy place to play, and I think Georgia wins the game, but it could be on a last-second field goal. It could be in overtime. It's going to be a close game. Tennessee's got a lot to prove. Remember, Alabama went in there and lost last year, so be careful if you're the Georgia fan going this weekend in Neyland Stadium.
James, what about you?
Vikings are going to destroy the Broncos on Sunday night, even though they're on a winning streak. Hey, we're on a 5-game winning streak. And, I hate Dan Campbell, and I hope Detroit loses. That's really what's happening because Vikings are coming for that number 1 spot.
Wow. James.
You heard it here.
James. All right. Well, my prediction is that the Falcons will finish at best 1 game over 500, at worst 1 game under 500. We'll get our normal middle of the road draft pick, and we will draft a tackle from West Fresno State, and we'll continue on this path for the rest of the time. And Arthur Smith will explain it to us in a 5-minute answer that nobody will understand. And with that, that's the Doug Collins Podcast. That's Friday's Finest. We're always glad you joined us. Hit that DougCollinsPodcast.com. Go up there and hit the email button if you want to talk to us. Tell us what you think. We'll be happy to hear it. And for the rest of you, just have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast. Take care. Say bye, Chip.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
Hey, bye, James.
See you later, everybody.
We're out of here. See ya.